And so next, I want to move to this integrated nanophotonic systems with AI. So in this work here, we designed this glucose sensing or refractive index sensing. So we can see that when we change the glucose concentration, the reflected color from this metasurface is changed a little. We cannot see by our eye; it's not very obvious. But if you see the data from, for example, from some 2D image like this, we take the RGB values, we can see that there is some difference. And so for our eyes, this is impossible. But if we incorporate AI and machine learning here to uncover this different slight change of the glucose concentration in relation to the color, we're then able to match the glucose concentration in real time using using the smartphone. So we use the liquid to come across these metasurfaces and taking some video that we can then update in real time, and we can see the change of the refractive index. And the change of the refractive index here is also related here to the concentration of glucose. And here I want to give a shout to my wife who drew these pictures. So very nice. She got some pictures published in a scientific article. And so as another application of this kind of things was used here to show that using optical storage, so by changing these different structures to be some 4-bit structure, then using the scattering data, they're able to recover the bit of this. And so from 4 bits up to 9 bits. And so the problem here then is how to fabricate and to measure, to get a lot of data to be able to train your neural networks. This makes it very, very, very hard. Someone has to fabricate many examples of this and measure. So this is not for the faint-hearted for doing this kind of things. And so another kind of something that's been happening recently is this kind of end-to-end system. So in this work here, the metasurface phase map as well as this 3D depth reconstruction is both being learned at the same time. So the metasurface phase map provides this structured light, and this structured light is used to recover the depth of some image. And so this is all kind of interconnected in one system. So the metasurface is designed and kind of inverse designed at the same time as this depth reconstruction of the AI using this depth reconstruction. So it's kind of a whole system that's based in design as well as the inference from the AI. So this very nice work recently being done like this. And so the big problem we can see that we're coming back to passive metasurfaces, right? So we are not updating the metasurface in real time. So we are just creating a static metasurface. So this is coming back back in time, but now we are incorporating this AI, so it's giving us some additional functionality. And then another problem is the generalization in terms of when we simulate and when we fabricate, there's always some kind of a difference, right? And so this kind of thing makes a little problem. And as well, then if we are using AI and neural networks based on our computers, then now we are coming to this kind of optoelectronics. So we're losing our speed and our kind of our main parts of using optics. We have to then combine to electronics. So we're coming to electronics again. And so finally, for this metaphotonics for AI. So in this part, I want to kind of highlight the things that we can do optically and how they can be used in AI. And so here in terms of optical image processing, if we use optics for computing, we have a very useful a few useful things. One is that we have this potential for parallelism. So we can use one wave with different optical properties, maybe the polarization or the wavelength, and lots of different things can be calculated at the same time. And then the speed, of course, now instead of using electrons, we're using photons. So the speed becomes the speed of light. So it's very, very fast, and also becomes energy free, because now we don't need to use electronics to create these currents. We're just using static optical components. And so image processing can allow us to do this kind of edge detection, for example, and this is done by finding the gradients of where there's a big change in the color of these guys. But if we see in neural networks, the first layers for some convolution neural networks generally try to pick out some features. So for example, the edge detection, or the edges of these images. And so we can imagine that if we can then do this part optically instead of digitally, even if we can change just a few of these layers for optics, we could get a very big speed up as well as a very lower energy consumption for our neural networks. So one way we can do this is by using this kind of a vortex, and we can create these vortexes by using these spiral phase filters in the Fourier domain. But when we do this, then we can see that when we have the convolution of some image with this vortex, then we are able to get this isotropic 2D edge detection. And so our idea here was then, can we create some meta lens that does all of these functions in one? So it allows us to, we don't need this 4F system, as well as we can use this for creating a donut or vortex, as well as just a standard focusing. So we are able in this work here to change between RCP and LCP, to change between edge detection imaging and bright field imaging. And so we can see here, when we put the LCP, we get a airy spot. We put RCP, we get this vortex, and these are diffraction limited. And so we can see in this video, the changing using the liquid crystals, we can change the mode between edge detection and bright field in kind of the millisecond or microsecond scale. And so then we can use these guys to do imaging not only of phase objects, but as well as this of not only the amplitude objects, also this kind of phase, these kind of transparent phase objects like cells. And then in this work here, they show that we can use this for creating any arbitrary kernel. So here we have the similar kernel, this vortex. We can see with a phase object, we can pick out just the edge parts of this guy. And here with some kind of a sideways edge detection, so this guy only can sense the edge in this direction. And so we can see that in the image that has some scratch in this direction, when we use the modulator, use this kernel, we can then remove these defects. And the same in here, we're able then to use this kind of pepper and salt denoising. So we have these little defects, and by using this kernel, so these things are well known in image processing. Maybe if you use Photoshop, you probably use these filters often. But what we're doing here is we're doing this completely optically by creating these meta surfaces that provide this kernel optically. And so the next stage is kind of going to be to move to this optical neural networks. So we can see that meta surfaces have a very strong synergy and very similar to a neural network. So in an artificial neural network, computationally, we see that we have these kind of neurons that have a weight and bias in each part. If we think about this in terms of a meta surface, this could be the amplitude and phase of the meta atom. And so we can then transfer this to be completely optical. So then we use the concepts of kind of diffraction and these kind of things to then create these meta atoms that give us the designed phase and amplitude to then give us the output that we want based on the input. So we can see that the meta surface is very well suited for this guy, right? If we just rotate and then we put a few layers of a meta surfaces, we could very easily imagine that this can be some optical neural network. So this is actually being done in the terahertz regime. So we can see here is a little bigger, so it's a little easier to experiment. But we can see then the input is this image of this number 5, and then the energy is confined here to the 5. And so this means that this diffractive neural network is able to understand that this is a 5 and come and put the energy to the detector that's related to the number 5. And then in this work here, they did the similar things, but then using some very arbitrary kernel again. And so now all of these guys are related to this meta surface that gives this kernel, and then we can get we can see where is the light. So this is the 5, and we can use this to pick out the 5. And so what they show here is that 95 or 94% of these operations were done here just optically, and only 6% here just left to the electronics. The bad part of this is then how can we update these guys? So in our neural network, in artificial neural network, we are able to use some back propagation to update the weights and bias at each point per cycle. Whereas for these current demonstrations, this artificial neural network is designed computationally and then moved to this kind of a meta surface. So if we can reconfigure this in real time, we can then train in real time. Would be much more interesting to then put the light and we get some loss function, and we can train back and update the weights and biases. But still, we are quite far away from doing this, especially in the visible wavelengths. And in terms of integration, if this was going to be on chip, would be much more useful, right? Then we can integrate this directly to our computers or to our sensors. But the biggest part that is very important is that we have to care about some nonlinearity if we want to create some complex functions. So if these guys are all linear, then the combination of 100 linear processes is just a linear process. So we cannot get anything some kind of complex relationship. So that's this nonlinear activation function in artificial neural networks is very, very important. So how can we do this optically is one of the big challenges. And so hopefully this gives some kind of summary and an overview of what I see, what I think about this convergence and this synergy of AI and metaphotonics in AI. So they have a very nice relationship that, especially in visible wavelengths, for example, simulations are in the scale of like 10 seconds or a few seconds for a single meta atom. So this is very nice for getting data for AI, whereas for metaphotonics for AI, we have a similar things that now we can try to think about how to do these calculations in optically. And so there's a very nice synergy between these two fields that seem to, hopefully there's some kind of a place that it matches. And so this is kind of what I envision and what I'm interested in research these days. And so please, if you have any ideas or any questions or something that you wonder about, please feel free to ask, and thank you for your attention. It's a little long, 50 minutes, so hopefully it was interesting. So thank you.